Imagine the sound of like 1,000 camera flash bulbs just going off in a pitch black room.
Oh, yeah.
The visuals are snapping wildly, right? Between a tearful CEO pleading her case, leaked telegram messages flashing across the screen, and the shattered, like, fragmented teasers of a once untouchable girl group.
It was so intense.
The teasers dropped, the fandom went completely silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down.
Totally upside down.
For months, we thought we knew the truth about, the ultimate boardroom betrayal. We thought this was just a simple story of a massive corporation versus a rogue creative.
But what if they weren't the real villains?
Right. What if the real villains weren't the CEOs and the C-suite at all? What if it was a family member pulling the strings from the shadows?
Oh, man.
They lied to us. And HYBE's biggest scandal just got remarkably worse. The ultimate question is this: are the idols we love just collateral damage in a corporate game of chess? Welcome to StarScope K-Report.
It is genuinely the defining controversy of this generation of K-pop. I mean, just when you think you have your arms around it, the foundation cracks and a whole new layer of deception is revealed.
Yeah, exactly. So join us as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
That's right.
Today, Yerez's Deep Dive is going to navigate the absolute labyrinth of the HYBE versus Ador versus Min Hee-jin legal war. We are parsing through court documents, press conferences, and those explosive K-netz reactions from April 2024 all the way to today, August 2026.
And we need to establish right up front for our listeners, our stance here is strictly impartial.
Yes, very important.
But we are deeply passionate about the music, the artists and the culture. We are looking at the facts, the fandom heartbreak, and the wild twists of this saga without taking sides. This isn't about defending a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It's about unpacking the mechanisms of how a cultural phenomenon became entangled in just an unprecedented legal bloodbath.
Okay, let's unpack this from the very beginning, the genesis of the feud. We have to go back to April 2024.
Wow, feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does. So HYBE launches a massive surprise audit into their sublabel Ador and its CEO, Min Hee-jin. They publicly accuse her of attempting a hostile management takeover.
Right.
In response, Min drops a bomb. She releases this fiery public statement accusing HYBE's other sublabel, Belift Lab, of plagiarizing NewJeans' hair, makeup, and choreography for their newly debuted group, Illite.
The audacity of that statement, it sent shockwaves through the industry. She didn't just hint at similarities. She explicitly stated that HYBE was blinded by profits and was actively producing banality.
Yeah.
She claimed Illite was being internally and externally called a NewJeans subtype.
Subtype, yeah.
Right. And she argued this blatant copying was damaging NewJeans' reputation right before their highly anticipated May comeback.
Which leads us to one of the most cinematic, unfiltered moments in modern K-pop history. Min Hee-jin's legendary 2-hour emergency press conference.
Oh my gosh, I will never forget watching that live.
Right. We are so used to seeing, polished executives reading heavily vetted apologies.
Yeah, the standard corporate PR script.
Exactly. She didn't do that.
Yeah.
She showed up in a blue baseball cap and a green striped shirt, looking completely depleted.
Yeah.
She sat down, stared into the flashing cameras, and just said, "I almost collapsed coming here."
That press conference shattered every single rule of corporate public relations. It was raw, it was deeply emotional, and, well, she brought receipts.
She really did.
She unveiled private cutout talk messages between herself and HYBE chairman Bang Si-hyuk. That included the now infamous text where he asked her, "Can you beat a CISPA?"
Oh, that text. The internet lost its mind.
Right. She used those texts to frame herself not as a corporate raider, but as a protective creative director trying to shield her artists from a toxic environment. And the rumors were swirling so wildly that she even had to pause to deny allegations that she was being coached by a shaman.
I remember that. The shaman rumor was wild.
Yeah, she clarified that the pressure was so immense, she just went to a friend for therapy.
Yeah, the pressure cooker finally exploded in November 2024. So Min Hee-jin officially resigns from HYBE, declaring an all-out legal war.
Right.
Shortly after, the NewJeans members hold an emergency press conference of their own. They cite a complete breakdown of trust and announced their intention to terminate their exclusive contracts.
The fallout within the fandom was just instantaneous and devastating.
Totally.
If you were monitoring forums like The Crow or reading reports on Koreaboo, the netizens were entirely fractured. Some fans felt Min's plagiarism claims were perfectly validated.
Yeah, they were pulling up all those videos.
Exactly. They pointed to side-by-side comparison videos of the choreography, commenting things like, from a non-K-pop fan point of view, they really are so similar. They felt the core aesthetic identity was stolen.
But let me challenge that narrative for a second, because the concept of stealing an aesthetic is really slippery. It's like, if two painters are told to paint the ocean by the same gallery owner, is it plagiarism when both paintings are blue?
That's a good way to put it.
Right. Whereas the line between a shared K-pop trend like the Y2K easy listening vibe that was dominating the charts and actual intellectual property theft, especially when both of these groups are operating under the same massive corporate umbrella of HYBE.
Well, that analogy cuts right to the heart of the legal ambiguity here. The law generally says you cannot copyright a vibe, a clothing style or a broad cultural trend.
Right.
But in the court of public opinion, authenticity is the only currency that matter.
Absolutely.
Min Hee-jin built that highly specific, nostalgic branding from the ground up. To see it replicated by a sister label felt, to many fans, like a betrayal of that authenticity.
I totally get it.
However, there was immense pushback from other netizens who argued, don't muddy the water, this is a different matter from her betrayal. They believed she was strategically weaponizing the plagiarism accusation as a smokescreen, to distract from the audit and the very real allegations of a management coup.
Yeah, like a distraction tactic.
Exactly. The ultimate tragedy is that the incredible talent and the visuals of both NewJeans and ILIT were dragged into an unfair crossfire. Fans who just wanted to support their biases were suddenly forced to act as armchair lawyers.
Yeah, the fans suffered the most. This accusation of plagiarism wasn't just a creative dispute. It was a catalyst that led HYBE to try and oust her. But when they dug into her files during that audit, they found something that changed the entire narrative from a copycat scandal to a full-blown financial conspiracy.
The conversation shifted overnight, from a debate over dance moves to a debate over corporate espionage and market manipulation.
And that's not even the wildest part of this saga. Wait until you hear what netizens uncovered in January 2026.
Oh, this part is crazy.
The words stock market manipulation are about to enter the chat. So let's look at the headline that had every fan questioning reality. They lied to us. The NewJeans tampering was a stock scheme.
Yeah.
According to deep dive reports from MK and the Korea Times, on January 28, 2026, Min Hee-jin's lawyer, Kim Sun-woong, holds a press conference and drops an absolute bombshell on the industry.
He presented a narrative that completely reframed the timeline. He claimed that the so-called NewJeans tampering allegations, the rumor that outside forces were secretly trying to poach the group away from HYBE, was actually a massive public fraud.
Right.
And the alleged architects of this fraud weren't rival record labels. It was a family member, specifically the elder uncle of one of the NewJeans members, working alongside a businessman named Chairman Park, who was associated with companies called Davolink and Terra Science.
We have to pause here and explain the mechanism of how this kind of stock fraud actually works, because it sounds like something out of a movie.
It really does.
Like, why would random tech or manufacturing companies care about a K-pop girl group?
It is a classic pump and dump strategy. It relies entirely on the sheer economic power of the Hallyu wave.
Okay, break that down for us.
Imagine you run a publicly traded company that has absolutely nothing to do with entertainment. Your stock price is stagnant. But if you can artificially manufacture a credible rumor that the biggest, most profitable girl group in the world is about to leave their agency and sign with a subsidiary you control.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Your stock price is going to skyrocket overnight. Retail investors, meaning everyday people and fans, will rush to buy your stock, hoping to get in on the ground floor of the new NewJeans agency.
Wow.
The architects of the scheme then sell off their own shares at the peak price, making millions. When the rumor turns out to be false, the stock crashes and the regular fans lose everything.
That is incredibly dark.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And the lawyer presented telegram messages and audio recordings as evidence of this plot. They outlined a timeline where this uncle allegedly tried to act as a back-channel negotiator. But here's where the source material gets genuinely baffling. In an audio recording from September 28, 2024, HYBE CEO Lee Jae-sang is heard explicitly warning Min Hee-jin. He says, "Have you heard of companies called TerraScience and Davolink? Don't meet them."
And Min's camp uses that exact reporting to claim she was totally unaware of the plot.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you can hear her reacting with genuine confusion. Her legal team alleges that HYBE management actually knew the stock rigging group was trying to exploit Min and NewJeans.
Okay.
But instead of protecting their CEO and their artists, Min's team argues, HYBE let the trap spring. They weaponized the situation to frame her for the tampering, using it as the ammunition they needed to force her out.
But let me push back on that logic because it feels a bit contradictory.
How so?
Well, if HYBE's CEO warned Min about these exact stock rigging companies back in September, doesn't that complicate the claim that HYBE was just blindly framing her?
That's a fair point.
If you are setting a trap for someone, the very last thing you do is call them on the phone and point out exactly where the trap is hidden. Why would they warn her?
That audio recording is the double-edged sword of this entire case. HYBE's supporters point to that exact warning as proof that the company was acting in good faith.
Right.
They argue HYBE was actively trying to protect their subsidiary from outside manipulation. From a legal standpoint, establishing a paper trail is crucial.
Oh, the paper trail.
Exactly. By formally warning her, HYBE ensures that if Min Hee-jin subsequently engages with these individuals, it legally transforms her actions from a naive mistake into a willful breach of fiduciary duty. It proves she knew the risks and proceeded anyway.
I see. So it's about covering their bases legally.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for the idols themselves? Because this is where the story stops being a corporate thriller and becomes a human tragedy.
It is heartbreaking on every level. This wasn't just executives in suits fighting over market share. It fractured a generational girl group that was at the absolute peak of their power. After that November 2024 contract termination announcement, the legal battles dragged the group into a painful, indefinite hiatus. In October 2025, a court ruled that Ador retains the exclusive management rights to the group.
Which means the members couldn't just walk away and start fresh somewhere else. They were legally bound to the label.
And the consequences of that binding contract were devastating. By December 2025, Danielle is officially removed from the group after receiving a contract termination notice.
That broke my heart.
It broke the whole fandom's heart. And it gets worse. Ador is now suing Danielle, her family member, and Min Hee-jin for a staggering 43.1 billion won.
Oh my God.
That is roughly 30.2 million US dollars in damages.
$30 million.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hani, Heron, and the Maknae Hein have reached agreements to return to Ador, and Minji is reportedly still in talks.
Wow.
A group that achieved perfect all-kills on the charts, a group that redefined the cultural zeitgeist, was splintered into pieces over a boardroom dispute.
It's just unbelievable. Look, if your mind is spinning from this KT and these massive financial stakes, make sure you hit that subscribe button to StarScope K Report. We've got even bigger scoops and factual breakdowns ahead.
We really do.
Because just when you think you understand the battlefield, the courts drop a verdict that changes everything. With $30 million in damages looming over the fractured group, the legal stakes reached an all-time high. The courts had to decide who actually breached the contract in the first place, and the resulting verdict led to a financial decision by Min Hee-jin that literally no one saw coming.
Nobody saw it coming.
Later in this deep dive, we'll talk about a plot twist where someone leaves $18 million on the table and walks away. You won't want to miss this.
In an industry built on maximizing profit, what she did next was one of the most unprecedented, highly debated moves we've ever witnessed.
Let's get into the mechanics of this finale. The headline sweeping the internet was, Min Hee-jin wins $18 hours, then gives it up. Fast forward to February 12, 2026, the Seoul Central District Court sides with Min in her put option dispute against HYBE. They order the agency to pay her 25.5 billion won, which is about 18 million US dollars.
To understand why this is a massive victory, we have to explain what a put option actually is in this context.
Yeah, please do.
Think of a put option as a golden parachute written into a contract. It gave Min Hee-jin the contractual right to force HYBE to buy her shares of Ador back from her at a predetermined, highly favorable price.
Okay.
Regardless of what the broader market was doing, HYBE refused to pay it, arguing she forfeited that right when she allegedly breached her contract by plotting against them.
But the court's rationale for siding with Min was fascinating. They acknowledged that she had, in fact, explored ways to weaken HYBE's control over Ador. They didn't deny the plotting. However, the judge ruled that because any actual independence would have legally required HYBE's consent anyway, her private discussions didn't constitute a severe enough breach to terminate that golden parachute.
Yeah.
To put it simply, talking about a bank robbery in your living room isn't the same as actually robbing the bank.
That distinction is everything. The court essentially said her actions were aspirational, not operational, so she wins the $18 million.
But then, just days later, on February 25, Min holds another press conference. And the contrast here is staggering. This one isn't 2 hours long. She's in a baseball cap pouring her heart out.
No, not at all.
It lasts exactly 4 minutes. She steps up to the microphone and offers to waive the entire $18 million payout on one massive, non-negotiable condition. HYBE must immediately drop all civil and criminal lawsuits against NewJeans, their families, and the fandom.
The brevity of it was powerful. Her quote from that statement struck a profound nerve across the industry.
What'd you say?
She said, "I can no longer watch a reality where 5 members who should be happily standing on stage must instead stand in courtrooms."
Wow. It's a masterclass in public relations. By offering the $18 million back, she immediately frames HYBE as the villains if they refuse the deal. She positions herself as the ultimate martyr for her artists.
Exactly.
But let's look at the legal mechanics here. We know HYBE had already appealed the initial ruling, and crucially, based on reports from the Inquirer and OCPOP, HYBE had just secured a suspension of compulsory execution from the court.
Which is a heavy piece of legal jargon that changes the entire context of her offer.
Yeah.
A suspension of compulsory execution basically means the court hit the pause button. They agreed that while the appeal process plays out, HYBE does not have to hand over the money.
Exactly. It's like she's sitting at a high-stakes poker table.
Yeah.
She goes all in, she wins the hand, but the casino has literally frozen her chips. She can't cash out. So instead of spending years fighting to unfreeze those chips, she pushes them across the table and says, "Keep the money. Just let my artists go." So the question becomes, was she offering to give up money she might never have actually seen anyway?
That was the immediate debate among K-netz on Junang and OCPOP. The online reaction was wildly polarized. On one hand, you have fans viewing this as the ultimate selfless sacrifice of a loving producer putting the mental health of her idols first.
Sure.
On the other hand, skeptics point out the frozen funds, and they note the intense pressure she was under. There were rumors swirling that she was terrified of a looming dispatch expose.
Oh, dispatch, yeah.
Not to mention the upcoming $30 million damages trial involving Danielle's family. Some argued she was just buying her way out of a much worse legal disaster.
But if we want to understand what Min Hee-jin truly values, we have to look at how she defends her reputation in other arenas. Look at her defamation lawsuits.
So this is a great point.
Right. In April 2026, just a few months after waiving the $18 million, she won a civil suit against online slanderers who had left comments calling her trash and a thug.
And the payout for that victory. She fought for months in court, paying legal fees to ultimately win just $300,000, won from 4 individuals. That is around $200 US.
Wait, $200? That barely covers the parking at the Seoul courthouse.
Right. It perfectly illustrates the contrast in her character. It was never about the money. It was about principle, control and reputation.
Yeah.
When a woman who will relentlessly sue anonymous internet commenters for $200 to clear her name suddenly offers to waive $18 million, it forces you to analyze her endgame.
Absolutely.
She is willing to bleed for her reputation, which makes the sacrifice of the payout either a genuine act of love for NewJeans or the most calculated reputation-salvaging move in K-pop history.
To keep up with how this legal chess match ends, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report. Because as we've seen, every time we think the dust has settled, a new lawsuit or a leaked audio recording drops and resets the entire board. This saga has fundamentally altered the DNA of the industry. It's changing how we view the power dynamics between sublabels, massive parent conglomerates, and the idols themselves.
Let's synthesize this massive journey. We started in April 2024 with a raw, tearful press conference centered on a creative dispute. A visionary creator accusing a corporate giant of plagiarizing the very essence of her group.
Right.
But that creative dispute cracked open a much darker underbelly of alleged stock manipulation, involving family members and outside tech businessmen attempting to exploit the immense economic value of a top-tier girl group.
Which then spiraled into a bitter, multi-agency legal war that forced the idols into an agonizing hiatus.
Yeah.
It splintered the group's lineup with Danielle's removal and resulted in tens of millions of dollars in overlapping lawsuits.
Only to culminate in a court-ordered $18 million payout that was immediately used as a high-stakes bargaining chip for peace. It is a staggering story of ambition, control, and the immense pressure cooker of the K-pop machine.
And it leaves us with a lingering, provocative thought that goes far beyond just this one group.
What's that?
Well, for decades, fans have blindly trusted the agency system. We buy the albums, stream the comebacks, and invest our emotions into these trainees. But as the Hallyu wave becomes a multi-billion-dollar global commodity, are we entering an era where fandoms will start demanding to see the corporate governance structures before they stan a group?
Oh, that's deep.
Will fans require transparency on shareholder agreements to ensure the idols they love aren't just disposable pawns in a boardroom war? Because right now, the system is proving that even the brightest stars can be eclipsed by corporate greed.
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, gay dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.